Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Aryna Sabalenka explains how her controversial comments about Coco Gauff have ended up helping her. Aryna Sabalenka has once again emerged to defend her comments after the French Open final. There she alluded to the fact that Coco Gauff, the winner of that match, had only won because of her own failures rather than the American success. It was one particular claim that drew widespread condemnation, as the Belarusian claimed, "If IGA had beaten me the other day, I think she'd come out today and get the win." As such, Sabalenka was criticized for her comments, and rightly so. However, the way in which this admonishment has continued is unfair. She has apologized at length, and the two players in question seem to have made up long ago. And yet, it remains a topic of conversation. Aryna Sabalenka has now, hopefully, delivered the final word on this tiresome saga. Aryna Sabalenka delivers the final word on her French Open final Coco Gauff comments. Speaking to the press, ahead of her return to action at the Cincinnati Open, attention inexplicably returned to a tournament that concluded over 2 months ago. Sabalenka's answer was measured and forthright, admitting, "Some people don't really understand the intensity of everything, that when you lose the final of one of the biggest tournaments and you go to media straight away, you're so frustrated, so pissed at yourself. You're trying to figure out what just happened. You don't think clearly, and you make a comment and people forget completely about who you are the rest of the time. I had to sit back and reflect on everything and apologize and make sure people understand my point that I was just over-emotional. I was completely wrong. It took a little while to explain myself a little better, but now I think people understand me even better. It was a tough lesson, but it helped me in many ways." The 27-year-old continued, "I think nowadays people know me as a player and as a person. I feel like people know. On court, she's great. She's passionate. She's focused. She's fighting for her dream. But also, she's fun. She's nice. She's chill. She's a completely different person." People need to move on from Aryna Sabalenka's French Open final mistake. As noted earlier, it has officially been over 2 months since that French Open final, and yet it remains a topic of conversation that Sabalenka must answer to. She deserved reprimanding in the immediate aftermath, and that is what occurred. The tennis world united to condemn her comments, and as a reaction, she instantly apologized on social media. Gauff accepted Sabalenka's apology ahead of Wimbledon, which must have been the 5th time the 4-time Grand Slam champion had sent a message of forgiveness to the American. At some point, this is a subject that needs to be left in the past. She has atoned for her errors, made things right with those she wronged, and the two now seem on good terms once again. It's time to move on from this line of questioning. When Aryna Sabalenka stepped up to the press conference podium after a grueling 3-set loss to Coco Gauff in the U.S. Open final, her eyes were red-rimmed, but her posture was defiant. The match had been a battle of raw power, emotion, and youth. Sabalenka, the Belarusian powerhouse, had dominated the first set. But Gauff, the 19-year-old American phenom, roared back with all the tenacity that had made her a fan favorite. The Arthur Ashe crowd had screamed for every Gauff point, and Sabalenka, competitive to her core, had felt it deeply. Then came the moment that would light up social media. She didn't really win it. "I gave it to her," Sabalenka had said, a half-shrug accentuating the bitterness in her voice. "She played well, yes, but I made too many mistakes. That's on me." It was classic Sabalenka, brutally honest, emotionally raw, and utterly unfiltered. The tennis world exploded. Act 1, The Spark. Within hours, #Sabalenka Disrespect was trending on X. Commentators debated her sportsmanship. Former players chimed in with carefully worded critiques. Gauff, gracious in victory, responded only with a brief, "Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I respect Aryna." Privately, she was hurt. Aryna's team urged her to release a clarifying statement, but she refused. "I'm not going to apologize for how I feel," she told her coach. "I lost. I'm angry with myself, not her." But as the days passed, she noticed something strange. While some criticized her, others resonated with her honesty. A wave of fans, especially young athletes, began messaging her, saying things like, "Thank you for being real. Losing sucks, and it's okay to admit that. Aryna had never thought of herself as a role model for vulnerability. She was fire and muscle, not softness and self-reflection. But the reaction made her think. Act 2, The Echo. Weeks later, at a tournament in Beijing, Sabalenka ran into Gauff in the players' lounge. It was awkward. Coco was sitting with headphones on, tapping at her phone. Aryna hesitated, then walked over. "Hey," she said. Coco looked up. Her face was unreadable. "Hey, I wanted to say, maybe I didn't mean it how it sounded." Coco tilted her head. "How did you mean it?" Aryna exhaled, frustrated with herself. "I mean, yes, I was upset, but I didn't mean to take anything away from your win. You deserved it. I just couldn't process the loss properly." Coco's expression softened. "I get it. I've been there." "You have?" Coco smiled wryly. "You remember that semifinal I lost last year? Everyone said I choked. I cried for an hour after. I just didn't say it in public." Aryna laughed despite herself. "Maybe I should learn to shut up sometimes." "No," Coco said. "You're just different. And that's okay." It was a small moment, but something shifted. Act 3, The Turn. In the months that followed, Aryna began reflecting on her public image. Not to change who she was, but to understand it. Her sports psychologist suggested that perhaps her controversial comments were a shield. "You're trying to control the narrative," he said. "If you say you lost because of your own mistakes, then no one can say you weren't good enough." That hit her. Had she, unconsciously, been trying to protect herself from vulnerability? From admitting that someone else might have beaten her, fair and square? During the off-season, Aryna began writing. Not for publication, just to understand her mind. She kept a journal titled The Other Side of the Net. In it, she recorded not just match strategies, but emotions. Fear, pride, jealousy, admiration, and Coco appeared more often than Aryna expected. Not as a rival, but as a mirror. Act 4, The Shift. By the time the Australian Open arrived, Sabalenka had grown, subtly, internally. And when she met Gauff again in the semifinals, the energy was different. It was another epic match. Both players pushed each other to the brink, trading blistering ground strokes and impossible defense. But this time, Aryna edged it out. She didn't roar or fall to her knees. She walked calmly to the net, and the two players embraced. In the press room afterward, a reporter asked, "Was this revenge for the U.S. Open?" Sabalenka chuckled. "No, not revenge. It was respect. Last time I was too focused on myself to give Coco credit. But I've learned. She's incredible. She brings out the best in me." The quote went viral for different reasons this time. Act V, The Lesson. That night, Coco posted a photo of the two shaking hands at the net, captioned, "Competition doesn't always mean conflict. Respect always wins. Congrats, Aryna." The tennis world took note, not just of the sportsmanship, but of the evolution. Sabalenka's earlier comments had caused a stir. But in a strange twist, they opened a dialogue, not just between two athletes, but across the sport, about emotion, accountability, and honesty in loss. Months later, Aryna published a short essay titled, "How Losing to Coco Taught Me to Win Myself Back." She wrote, "When I said she didn't win, I thought I was defending myself. But what I was really doing was hiding. Coco didn't just win a match. She taught me to face the parts of myself I wanted to ignore." In sport, and in life, we can grow from the moments we're least proud of. I'm still fiery, still blunt, but now I know that honesty isn't just about saying what you feel. It's about being brave enough to admit when you were wrong. Epilogue, The Future. By the time the next U.S. Open came around, the Sabalenka-Gauff rivalry was one of the most anticipated in tennis. But it was no longer fueled by controversy. It was fueled by mutual respect, competitive fire, and something deeper, shared humanity. After a tough practice session one afternoon, a young reporter asked Aryna, "Do you regret what you said last year?" Aryna thought for a moment. "No," she said, "because it forced me to grow. And sometimes growth is messy, but it's worth it." She smiled, then added, "Also, let's be honest, I still hate losing to her." The room laughed. And so did she.